Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening in the stars this morning. Whoops, I apologize. That is supposed to be, there we go. Oops. Okay, well, it doesn't matter because I know I'm live. I won't be able to see the stream now because I messed that up, but it's all good. It's Mercury retrograde, and of course, I'm a Gemini, so what can I say? Welcome to all of you who might be listening to me for the first time with Oneness Talk Radio. I'm really pleased and excited to be there with them on this platform. And of course, for those of you who are my regular viewers, welcome to you. And I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Wasn't that a gateway? That was something, right? The new moon, solar eclipse, and sitting there at the very tender portal of the summer solstice. It was an interesting day to be sure. Interestingly, I didn't see any major it was almost like we walked through it peacefully. I didn't see anything major blowing up, nothing of an extraordinary event sort of thing that occurred. Maybe more of the same, but nothing that made me go, wow, maybe things are actually calming down. I would love it if that were to happen, wouldn't you? Okay, so today what we're going to do is be taking a look at the week ahead. It's Monday, right? So we always take a look at the week ahead. And then we are going to take a look at our spiral of consciousness, i.e. the Pleiadian and astrology calendar, because it is also today that we are beginning the next week, the next round in the spiral of consciousness. And then we'll also take a look at today's actual astrology, and then as well the moon and what she is up to for us starting this particular week. So I'm going to head back to YouTube for just a moment because I want to see if I can find everybody. That there they are, and I don't know where the comments are, however. So, oh, there they are. I see them. Good morning, Debbie Tibbetts-Tumiel and Jennifer Peachy and Mimi and Asa and Debbie Hedden, Amy Energy. Great to see all of you there. So I'm glad that part's working. And J-Lo, good morning to you. So hopefully I'll be able to go back and look at comments here. So let's start by taking a look ahead at the week. So we have a busy week ahead of us astrologically. Nothing new, right? It seems like we've been doing this all month in the month of June. We actually, just to give you a little peek ahead, the first week in July will be a bit crazy. And then after that, we have about 3 or 4 weeks of time to relax, maybe time to catch our breaths, maybe time to get perspective. So we have that coming, but for the next couple of weeks, we still have some craziness to contend with. And we have a very big event going on today, and that is Neptune turning retrograde. That happens a little bit later this afternoon, and I welcome this one. I think I talked to you guys about this last week. I really do welcome the move of Neptune when it turns into retrograde, as it brings us, inward and allows us access perhaps to our inner voice, to the voice of God within us, to be able to use our intuition and tools perhaps that we don't always have a chance to use when we're so focused in the outer world. So that's happening today. Wednesday through Thursday we'll have, and it's late at night here on the Pacific Coast and early in the morning for those of you in the time zones from Mountain to Eastern time zone here in the US. Also in Europe it will be this way, where Venus will turn direct. And we've been working with this Venus retrograde for the last several weeks and really getting clarity around what we value. Are we walking our talk? Are we in the shoes that we're meant to be in, or do we have them on the wrong feet? That's kind of fun, right? Wearing your shoes on the wrong feet, except you can stumble and fall so easily when that happens. So have we been walking our talk, and are we living our values? And what did we have to do to get ourselves back into alignment? You might say getting back into integrity and that type of way of looking at that energy. And now we are faced with having to walk that talk, but this time out in the outer world, right? Hopefully we did the realignment Hopefully, we did the inner empowerment, and now it's our opportunity to walk forward into the world with that newfound idea of who we are and what we're here to do, and or where we had been out of alignment. It was funny because this morning I had this piece of clarity that just sort of slammed into me, and I was like, oh, now I want to do everything that way, but I have commitments already to things that I need to finish up before I go in that direction. But it's been kind of it was an interesting aha, because it's one that had been in my mind and been sort of tweaking around in my being for a while. And I went into this Venus retrograde with that kind of thinking about this situation. And now this morning, at the very last minute, like 2 days before it goes back to direct, I got sort of that clarity around what it is, where it is that I was out of alignment with what I really wanted. And now the next step would be, how does that shape up, and how do I bring myself back into alignment? And that will be what we're all grappling with as we move into Venus turning direct midweek. Then on Saturday, ay, 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 Saturday, that is the day that Mars will make his move out of the sign of Pisces, where he's been a bit slowed down and a bit watery, emotional for the last several weeks. And now he'll be in the sign he rules, Aries, the sign of fire, the sign of youthful folly, if you will, the sign of exploring and testing and walking in a new path, exploring territory that you've not been in, discovery and those type of things. But Mars in the sign he owns, if you will, is also the possibility that we'll be in confrontation mode. We'll have to be confronting something collectively as well as for us as individuals. Because as of that day, as he moves into Aries, he will spend an extended period of time here as he is slowing down ever bit by bit right now to engage his retrograde, which doesn't begin until September. But September to November, he is in retrograde in the sign of Aries. So everything that happens from about June 27th, which is Saturday, until about September 9th, when he turns retrograde, are things in the world that collectively we'll see as the points of conflict, perhaps, and or the way that things need to change in the social aspect. But I found something very interesting today too, as I looked ahead at what, gate in your human design that Mars will walk into, and he will walk into the gate 25, which is a gate that sits on the identity center, the yellow diamond or white diamond, either color in your human design. And it is the gate of universal love in its highest. It is the gate of innocence in its gift, and it is the gate of chaos a bit. Well, actually, hold on. Let me get the exact word. It is the gate of constriction if it is in the shadow energy. And of course, at least initially, we often greet these changes in that shadow. So, what are we feeling constricted by, or by whom, or by what circumstances in our lives? And that starts that action rolling, right? What happens when you feel constricted? You start to try to break free, whether that becomes a wider reaching rebellion in your own life or out in the collective, or a revolutionary energy out in the collective. It's hard to pinpoint right now at this moment how that will be. But guess what? You all know that you have the choice, right? You get to choose how it is that you show up in this world and how you show up in this energy. And what we can do is push ourselves to be in acceptance of whatever is happening around us, while also holding the highest of universal love in our hearts and in our souls and in our minds, aligning us with the possibility that everything is working out the way it's supposed to be, right? In its highest and best. So those are the three main big things going on astrologically for the week. In our human design, we start the week with the sun at the gate 15, which is the gate also on the yellow diamond or the white diamond, depending on the configuration in your chart. That is the center for the soul. We call it the seat of the soul, but it is the center for the identity that we each carry. And in that identity is a magnet. And that magnet is a monopole. It has only attractive ability. It can't repel anything. It can only attract. And when we are open to this happening in our lives, then we are attracting to us the right circumstances, the right opportunities, the right people that are going to elevate our soul or to push our soul along its path of evolution. And so the sun sitting there putting a lot of focus on that. It is the love of humanity, right? So it is that extraordinary love that we have for one another when we're tapped into that rather than polarization. And the earth sitting at the gate 10, challenging us to move out of the more greedy, self serving energy into the true love of the self. And the true love of the self is seeing ourselves as a part of the tapestry of all life, right? Seeing ourselves reflected back to us in our relationships and through other human beings on the planet. An extraordinary week, to be sure, especially since the sun and the moon were very powerfully at that same gate during the eclipse yesterday, during the new moon yesterday. So our opportunity as we move through that portal of the seasonal solstice, but also as the new moon, is to create from a new level of consciousness and to create that from love energy as opposed to some of the more chaotic energies that have been on the planet. Now, to be sure, we cannot control everybody else around us. We know that, right? We talk about this all the time here in the morning, but you can control your own reactions to what is happening in the world. You can control your response. That is the root to the word responsibility. So, whatever is going on around you, whether it's in your own family, in your own community, in your nation, or in the globe, we are always responsible for how we show up in the midst of that, right? We can't make anybody else do what we want them to do, but we can certainly show up in a way that's very positive and powerful. And we can feed love into that energy instead of feeding more division or polarization or hate, even into that. So, big responsibility on our very human shoulders to make sure we're connecting very powerfully with that energy. Now, as we transition later in the week, the sun and earth will change gates. They will be moving us to the Christmas gates, I call them, because we'll be at the exact opposing point to the Christmas season where the sun is in the gate of joy and bliss. And now we'll have the earth in the gate of joy and bliss, and the sun sitting at the gate of peace and restraint or stillness. And so later in the week, we'll really transition more into that more contemplative and restraint sort of energy where we're letting go of the stress of that outer world and of all the things that are going on in favor of coming to a peace, coming to a center, coming to a unity, coming to a oneness, right? Coming inward and really relying more on that loving energy, that more peaceful energy. And that doesn't mean that we're going to necessarily see that in the outer world. So I'm just telling you right now that likely there's still going to be all that sort of chaos and craziness around us. But as each of us learn more and more how to come to our own center during that kind of chaos, the more that that energy becomes available for others to also move to that center. Interesting story. So yesterday we had a family, my birthday and Father's Day celebration sort of, and there were only 8 or 9 of us there, so it wasn't a huge party, but thankfully, because we're still in phase 2 here. But my daughter and I were talking about how she was sort of filled with some anxiety, and I'm always sort of like on the edge of feeling that anxiety from everyone around me. And I said, well, likely this will be a good time for us to be more meditative, to do more meditation, to do practices, maybe even like yoga that can get you more into that meditative space. And she looked at me and she laughed. She goes, usually, Mom, I would just roll my eyes at you. She said, but my physical therapist told me the exact thing last week as he was telling her she breathed too shallowly, that she really needed to take in a full breath and be able to exhale that breath and breathe in another full breath and exhale that full breath. And I said, well, one way that you can do that literally is to do something like that spiritual practice. So I think it's in the field, right? If a physical therapist can bring that to an everyday client, and we're talking about this on a spiritual level, then that tells you it's getting into the collective. So I have hope, right? That gives me optimism that that literally that there are enough of us aware and awake that we can literally change this paradigm that we've been in, even if we don't see it happen with the snap of a finger. Although I hold out that as an intention that with the snap of a finger, the world can change. It may be a process that we undergo over time. Okay, good. Let's transition over here. Let me see who's out here with us this morning. Joshua, good morning. Allison, good morning. Mars with my Chiron return. Yay, lots of action on your healing. I love it. Phantom Chroma, good morning. Amanda J, good morning. And Tati, good morning to you. I don't get to see you usually in the morning, but it's nice to see you out there with us this morning. If you all have any questions or comments, please feel free to put those in the chat. And I'm actually seeing that, and I'm seeing that live because I'm on Facebook. I see all of them. I can scroll through them. So it makes my life a whole lot easier. But anyway, I will come back and check in with that right now. I think I want to go, let's see, what was my plan? I actually had an agenda this morning. Trying to be organized. I'm not sure why. This morning, we wanted to talk about the spiral of consciousness. Yesterday was a 13-day, and that 13-day is the end of the week. Remember, we are working with the spiral of consciousness, which spirals through 13 universal days through 20 different earth signs, and those are combining in what turns out to be 260 different combinations. And those different combinations are sort of the map, if you will, to our evolution of consciousness. And every week we're presented with the one day, and today is the one. It is the energy of initiation and of creation, of setting intentions, of new beginnings. And interesting that falls so close to the new moon. And in that, then I really wanted to talk about what does that bring us this week? And it's interesting to me because it's paired with the earth energy of enlightening, which was Ahau in the Mayan calendar, which was the 20th day sign. So we have the alpha and the omega going on here, right? We have the one universal energy that brings us into that new beginning. And we have the 20th day sign, the omega, the end, the last one that is our commitment to ideals and to social progress. See how that dovetails with the energy that we have in this week. I always love to see it when that happens. Now, the one enlightening is the umbrella energy for the entire 13-day period, even though we'll cycle through the 2, the 3, the 4, etc., and add different earth energies to those numbers as well. We will have that superseding, overriding consciousness evolution energy with us as it sort of plays out in the different earth signs throughout the week. And so we usually talk about every day what that energy is. So let's dive in a little more to the one energy, the initiating energy. So the initiating energy comes directly from source. So the one day is a direct first from source sort of arrival, if you will, transmission, if you will, and it is primed for us to create from it energies like unity, right? Unity, possibility, all possibilities, and intention. So the intention of what it is that we want to create. And it's used for creating new ideas, new opportunities. And this represents a point of our focusing of our awareness towards something, well, toward enlightening, right? So that's the energy paired with it. So for those of you who might be new to the Pleiadian Earth energy, it is based on the work of Pia Orlean and Colin Baird Smith, Pleiadian Earth Energy Astrology, Charting the Spirals of Consciousness. And Larkma is a group of Pleiadians that Pia and Cullen together channel. And it comes with, or you order separately, the Pleiadian Earth Energy Calendar. And the calendar shows us both the Gregorian days, but the Gregorian days are up here in the corner, right? They're relegated to the corner. The Earth energy days are big here, the number of the day, and then the energy of the Earth for that day. So here we are down here on the 22nd. We are on a 1 day of enlightening. And then we go through the rest of the month. We end the month on a 9, and that means a few days into July, we will start a new round of 13 days. So the universal energy, the number, represents all life forms, no matter what universe they're in or whatever planet they might be in, whatever life form they are. Everything is resonating with that energy of 1. The Earth energy, as you might imagine, is Earth specific and is showing us the next level of our consciousness, or our evolution in our consciousness on this planet specifically. So as we look at then, what does enlightening mean? It is time to lift our consciousness up, right, into the level of the siddhi, if we were looking at the gene keys, or at least into the gift level, where we are raising our consciousness to recognize the humanity in all of us, that we're seeing multiple perspectives instead of just our own personal focused perspective. We're broadening that perspective. We're seeing a wider view of what's possible out there in the world. This is the potential for a time of true social progress and social change. But unfortunately, we're still dealing with that polarizing energy where we've misconstrued or misused the energy of duality. And we have come to this point where we're still divided, right? We're still in that divided. So we, on the collective level, are not there yet. But the more of us individually that connect with this energy of oneness, of unity, togetherness, the more that we change that paradigm. So as long as we're remaining attached to polarized ideas rather than sharing and combining our different views, we are likely still going to see some of that social upheaval as change is coming and people are on some levels rejecting this idea. So we need to, in our people who are of the know, to embrace the idea that we're all one, that it doesn't matter what your skin color is or what your upbringing was or what country you're from, what background you're from, whether you're male or female or any of that. It's just all of us together here. We all are the same, just expressing ourselves in a little bit different way, right? So that tapestry of life and this energy today really reminds us that that is the truth of who we are, that if you take a piece out of that tapestry, you ruin the integrity of the whole. So we are all this big tapestry. This is very idealistic energy today. This is the energy that moves us from that more dualistic kind of thinking, the polarized division, and into the appreciation of the differences and of how we all are alike and yet with our differences, and that makes us each unique individuals. So we are asked on a day like today, and not only for today, but for the next 12 days as we're in this spiral, to integrate cosmic perspectives into earthly realities, right? Into our earthly being. So cosmic, God, source oriented perspectives into the physical being, to basically as a reminder of who you really are, right? The divine being housed in a very physical body. And we are here to accept the light of others as well as accepting the light of ourselves. While we're shining our own true nature, we are also asked to accept that others are also shining their light, even if it's muted, right? Everybody is shining their light. So I think this is a great beginning to the week, right? To have this energy, to have the potential for Neptune retrograde, which I want to go into a little more depth about what that means. And I think you'll see why this is kind of an exciting time. And first, I'm going to go back and see if there are any questions in the chat. And Ursula, good morning. Terry, good morning. I don't see any questions. Either you guys are asleep out there or everybody's doing just fine and getting everything that we're talking about. I find it kind of exciting. I hope you guys can see that the potential here is huge, right? That's not to say that, it changes other people's perspectives, but I think it helps them to open up to other perspectives, to see things in a different way. So there's that. So let's take a look now at what the Neptune turning retrograde has to do with all of this for us today. Neptune, as you know, is the planet of spirit. It is the planet of unconditional love. It is a planet that sometimes clouds our thinking because it is pure spirit or ether. It is not very knowable. It is not pin downable. It is sometimes nebulous and etheric and just can't quite reach out and grab a hold of it. And at other times, it connects us with the higher realms and, the ability to tap into our intuition, to hear the voice of our guides or of source as it's attempting to guide us through this reality that we're living in. So when Neptune, the planet of all of that, turns retrograde, rather than expression of that in the outer world, it moves to the expression on the inner planes. So from now until November 28th, we are going to be challenged to see things clearly in the outer world, which hopefully forces us to move inward, at which case our intuition and our ability to tap into the unseen realms, right? Tapping into our intuition or our inner knowing, tapping into our unseen guides or angels or whatever your crew of beings that are unseen but are here to help you. All of that ability kind of skyrockets for us during this period of time. And today, of course, we started the day, which you didn't know this yet because we haven't brought this up, but we started the day with the moon in Cancer in a conjunction to Mercury retrograde, but also in a trine to Neptune. So right now, it's almost an easy sort of connection that we can have to our inner selves, right? That ability to tap in. And it means, of course, that we may have more dreams. They may be lucid dreams, they may be prophetic dreams, they may be highly symbolic of something that your daily or waking life needs to know, but it's coming through the dream realm. So again, great time. Get your, I don't have my journal sitting here in front of me, but get your pen and your journal and be prepared to write down your thoughts, your ahas, your dreams. I had a very weird dream this morning just before I woke up. My husband and I were superheroes. We were part of a panel of superheroes. Only the rest of the panel of superheroes didn't like something that he and I had done and didn't like that. And they were bringing us up on charges, if you will. We were sitting at sort of in a courtroom sort of appearance. And he and I knew that what we had done was right and that they were on the wrong track. It felt like going against the tide. So it was an interesting dream. I woke up and I was like, wow, 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 wow. What did that mean? And sometimes, again, your dreams, even though you may remember them, it may be hard for you to pin down. What does that mean? So this is why having a journal, because then your unconscious or your subconscious is working on that for you. And as you maybe write more in the journal, you may come to what it is that that dream was representing for you. It is also true, though, that dreams may be more elusive to your memory. And there are, somebody shared with us one time, I think it was Trudy Griswold from the Angel book, that talked to us about putting a glass of water, next to your bed and holding the intention with that water that you'll remember your dreams and you'll remember the meaning that it has for you. And then in the morning when you wake up, you drink the water and your memories that you infused into that are than in your conscious mind for your body to use. So if you're having trouble remembering your dreams, maybe that's something that you can do as well. Um, so our dreams are more prominent. We are open for more spiritual input, if you will, for the next several months while Neptune is in retrograde. And this is a great time if you don't already have a spiritual practice designed for yourself. This is a great time to do that, to set up a meditation, to set up a spiritual practice, or to more consciously connect with contemplation energies. The Gene Keys, Richard Rudd often talks about learning about oneself, learning to know oneself more clearly as a contemplation of the energies of the gates or the Gene Keys in your human design and in your Gene Keys hologenetic profile. And in reading through, even just taking that in and sitting with that, not having to make it anything other than just a contemplation. I have my Course in Miracles. I'm going to take it out, and it's always the best time of year for me to do the work with that book because I myself am more open to what it is that it's bringing me. So, Neptune retrograde, albeit a little unclear in the outer world, create space for more clarity coming from your inner world. So, a very powerful time indeed. I look forward to this every year for the ability to tap in and hear something, voices. And trust me when I say we're going to need it. We are going to need it because with Mars later in the week starting his move into Aries, that outer world might become very loud. We're ramping up in this country for the election season, and that means debates and more rallies and their conventions and ultimately the ads that are all about the candidates leading up to the election in November. Neptune will still be retrograde during the November election. Mars will be retrograde during that November election for us here in the US. So buckle in, guys. Buckle in if you're in this country. It's going to be a crazy one. And that's why having a spiritual practice right now and or strengthening that practice or creating it is going to be so useful. Okay, Lo says, I'm ready for it. And Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel, I'm exhausted today, getting a rental car and getting my car fixed and then doing nothing. I'm exhausted having 3 months of kids and 6 dogs. Yikes. Ursula, I keep hearing, I was born for this moment. I love that because, of course, we all were, right? We all are here on this planet. We came here at this time for all of that. And Lo is sending you some relaxing vibes, Debbie. Indeed, time to relax, to contemplate, to, you know, just relax, just relax. Later in the week, especially as we move into the gate 52 with the sun, that is a gate of restraint. It is a gate of releasing stress. It is a gate of stillness. Try what would happen if you were just still, if you did nothing. That makes us so uncomfortable, right? So let's try something new. Okay, and no other comments. So let's look at then what is happening for the day today. Today we have the moon in Cancer. Obviously, we went through the gateway just a few days ago where we were working with the energy of the new moon and the new moon in Cancer, nurturing, concerned about security and stability and strengthening the foundation of home and family. Right? Capricorn foundation, the opposite sign ruled by Saturn, is more about the traditional world of work or of an income or of the climbing of a social ladder or the climbing of a corporate ladder, the things that we do to make ourselves more secure oriented in the outer world. But Cancer is more about the security and the safety of home and family and our traditions and holding on to the most beautiful parts of who we are as we are also being asked, invited, responding to the ability to bring in the new, to reconstruct our lives, to rebuild out of the ashes of things that have happened here in the recent past. So the moon in Cancer bringing all of that to us. We did talk about the conjunction of Mercury retrograde with the moon, and also the trine to Neptune, how that's extraordinary in bringing us more ahas, perhaps more tapping into our intuition, like just knowingness, knowing that there's something more that we can tap into. Later in the day today, we have, oh, by the way, let me go back first for a second. One of the other things that I note that happens quite frequently in messages, and you guys may have noticed this too, are angel numbers, right? The 333, 111s, 222s, 999s, 1111s. Those numbers, when they I call them when they run, begin to tell us that they're giving us a flood of intuitive information that something's about to change, perhaps something new is coming, that there's a message coming in from your angels or something like that. So we may experience not only dreams, but more of that connection with the angels that may be in the form of their numbers, of omens, of cladons, as Colette Baron Reed calls them, that are those little things, those little synchronicities, those coinkydinks, coincidences that are really put in our path to stop us so that we wake up and change our direction, perhaps, or become more aware of something. And that also leaves us open to intuitive leaps, right? Where we have this leap of consciousness that happens. So that's also a part of Neptune retrograde, and beginning with today's moon in a trine to Neptune and a conjunction to Mercury retrograde, it could be bringing that up. Now, later in the day today, the planet Pluto and Jupiter, who are very close together, right? Remember, on the 30th of this month, they're in their next conjunction. So they're very close to one another right now. And the moon later in the day will come to oppose them. And opposition is a 180-degree line between the two of them, or the three of them in this case. And that is like a tug of war, right? Energy's pulling us in two opposite directions. The moon in Cancer wanting us to be settled with our home and our family and our traditions, creating that safety net home. And the other two out in the world, where our main big structures are crumbling, and kind of asking us for that energy to rebuild those structures in a more sustainable, life affirming way. So we have that tug going on, the tug of war between our emotional nature, as represented by the moon, and what we have to do. The reality, the real world that bites. And or you could read this as what I want to do versus what I've committed to doing. There was my struggle in something this morning, as I realizing I'm having to let go of something, that struggle between what I'm already committed to as it relates to that old thing and where I want to go. So we may all be doing that, and it may be playing out between family and work. It may be playing out in letting go of the kind of work you're doing, enabling you to go on to something different. It may be enabling you, someone like Debbie Tibbetts-Tumiel, who's had an interesting situation at home, and being able to let go of that and go back to a more peaceful, calm environment. But also recognizing then that means that those other people and those other animals aren't in your life for a while as well. So we're all sort of sitting in that teeter-tottery space, that tug pulling us in those two opposite directions. And the best way to deal with an opposition is to come to the middle and to be in acceptance of where you are in this moment with whatever is happening around you, wherever you are on that spectrum, and to be okay with that, whatever it is that's showing up. And even if what's showing up for you is the more crazy expression, then going over to the more peaceful energy, kind of bringing that to yourself, and in the stillness, if it's that stillness energy that you're coming to, then being okay in that void, perhaps, right? That void that the moon often goes into, right? Every few days, the moon goes into the void, and we feel like a little bit lost, a little bit wandering, a little bit like at odds. We don't know what to do with ourselves. And what we end up doing with ourselves is literally, we should be just stopping everything and being in that contemplative space. So we have that. And then, of course, early tomorrow morning, and I'm going to bring this up now because it'll happen before I come on air tomorrow, at 21 minutes after midnight, my time, West Coast time, the moon will go into the void until 5:34 a.m. So for those of you on the East Coast, that'll be 3:21 a.m. until 8:34 a.m. So literally a very short one, just a few hours, most of it while we're sleeping, unless you're in Europe and it's going to be a part of your day, and Australia probably a part of your late day or your evening. And that is just 3 hours 5 hours, I'm sorry, three 5 hours, 3 hours difference between when it happens on the East Coast versus the West Coast. But it is a 5 hour long void that we are, meant to go inward and to listen, right? To listen, not take action, not start something new. It sort of brings us into that calmer space. So that'll happen in the morning, and maybe that tug of war can find its solution during that period of time as that opposition releases us into the void of the moon. All right, I do believe I have covered everything today. I'm going to head back to the stream and see what people are saying here. Asa, how many degrees will Neptune move back? It's literally only a couple of degrees. Neptune does not move very quickly at all. And so in the retrograde value isn't of the degree it's at. It has more to do with the house it's in your chart. Unless, of course, it's transiting across those houses, two different houses, which it may. In which case, you have to look at your own personal chart and discover where that's happening. So Neptune is in Pisces, right? So Pisces, if you know where Pisces is, it's in the mid degrees. It's at 20 degrees today. I think it only retrogrades back to technically answer your question, Asa, back to 18 degrees. So as you know, it's a further out planet. It doesn't move very quickly. And even in retrograde, it's not the degrees that count so much as the house it's in and what awareness it's bringing you to. But great question. And J-Lo, or you have insomnia like me, well, maybe during this period of time, you'll be able to sleep more, right? Sleeping more. J-Lo, I cannot remember if you are a manifesting generator or a generator, but let me just tell you, if you're having trouble sleeping, likely, if I know you're one of the generator types, I remember that. Wait, hey, I have your chart here. For a moment while I find your chart here. Which reminds me, you need to have your follow-up still. You are a manifesting generator. You are the archetype of the manifesting generator. So manifesting generators present us with a unique energy signature because you're very busy. You have a lot of energy and you're running a lot of energy. When that energy isn't being fully expressed out in the physical world, then it's left in your body pinging around and can be the source of insomnia, can be the source of health conditions as well. So you're really someone who's designed to be exhausted by the end of the day. Now, if you're a projector, a reflector, or a manifestor, please do not take those words in and make them a part of your experience. Only manifesting generators or generators are really designed to have used up a lot of that energy at the end of the day. And that might mean that the generator types need to, if you've been sedentary for most of the day, let's say, that you really need to get out and take a walk or do some, exercises, have sex, do something that really dispels that sacral energy. Because if you go to bed and you're holding on to that sacral energy that hasn't been dispelled, then it is just going to be pinging around in your body and it might be very difficult for you to sleep. So the other part of that is if you are extraordinarily busy and you have been working a lot and you're a generator or manifesting generator, if you push yourself beyond the exhaustion point, then you end up in what we think of generally as a second wind. And once you reach that second wind, it is like a whole nother round of vitality and energy that comes to you that doesn't allow for sleep either. So, my body will tell me if I get past that point, I start feeling nauseous or I'm very grumpy. So everybody's probably, all of you generators or manifesting generators out there probably have some kind of tell in your body that is telling you that you've gone too far and it's time to go to bed and it's time to rest. If you do that when the body says that, then you're going to have a good night's sleep. But if you push beyond that, if you keep pushing beyond that, you're going to go to bed eventually, but you're not going to be able to sleep very well because you've overdone it. So you've got that overdoing it that can create exhaustion if you keep pushing yourself out there, and then the underdoing it, which means that likely I've been too sedentary during the day and I really need to get out there and do something and move my body in some way before I go to bed. I hope that's helpful. Manifesting generator, yes, I've been a whole lot these grumpy people out here. Asa says, thank you for that information. Yes, it's moving from the 5th to the 4th house. Aha. JLo says, OMG, I was just nauseous. That is my body's tell. When I get to that point, I know that I'm pushing myself for no good reason because my body's already telling me, Janet, you have done too much today. Go to bed. But if that clock doesn't say it's the right time, I won't do it. It's weird, but I won't do it. So then I end up likely pretty restless in my sleep. And then my Fitbit tells me the next morning, you slept like you know what. So do the things that you're meant to do. Listen to your body, right? Get into that body and really listen to it. Okay, Asa, so Neptune from 4th house being intuitive about family and home to being intuitive about a love relationship perhaps, or about what kind of fun that you need to inject into your life, what kind of maybe creative energy is coming up for you, that kind of thing. Or it would be from the 5th house back to the 4th. So right now, maybe focusing on creativity and love and romance, and then having a little bit of a dip back into the 4th house of home and family. Okay, now let's see here. I got to watch time. We have time. Remember, I like to draw us an animal card that represents a totem, a helpmate for all of us as the collective for the week ahead. And this is just my favorite kind of deck to do that with. We could do that with any deck, but I like the animals. They're just such a potent guide. So let's see what this week comes up with. We get 2, 3, no way. Wow, okay. Now, we've never had these cards, so I think that's really interesting to show up. So we have 3 animal cards for us this week. Talk about layering of a week. So I'm going to go to Zoom over here. Hold on, guys. There we go. So the first card that pulled out upside down was Koi Fish Spirit. That is card number 36, which is a 9. And Koi Fish Spirit says, there is always enough. Sort of an abundance card. There is always enough, and it was upside down, which means it's a protection message. Leave that there. Then I also pulled up Beaver Spirit, lay a solid foundation, card number 6. That is also, that to me, the number 6 sort of represents that tug of war, right? That opposition between the moon in Cancer today and the Jupiter Pluto conjunction over there in Capricorn. So we have Beaver Spirit, and it was upright. And the last one is Hawk. And I always think of Hawk as the messenger. And he says, let spirit be your guide. He is number 32. 32 is a 5. And 5, maybe a message, bringing a message of change. So let's see what those cards mean really quickly. Koi Fish was number 36. I swear we've never received that card. Not even in my personal readings have I ever done that one. And it was in protection. And it says, are you feeling a sense of scarcity, afraid you will not have enough and not be enough to meet the challenges you face? Whatever your outer conditions, they are temporary and reflecting what was set forth in the past. Koi fish spirit is your ally in changing these conditions by transforming your inner beliefs about scarcity and plenty. Perhaps you have suffered a loss or are afraid you soon will, or you have been scraping by and feeling there are simply no opportunities available for you to better your circumstances. Koi fish asks you to find prosperity within you by connecting to spirit through spiritual practices. Well, that's exactly what we were talking about, isn't it? Spirit wants to remind you that your natural state is one of abundance. Remember all that you have to offer so that you can generate your own opportunities, love relationships, and even more. Even if you feel like you have little to give right now, find it within you to give to someone else, even if it is just a few encouraging words, a smile, or a helping hand. Your action will remind you that you have more than it appears, more gifts, more strength, more wisdom, more abundance. As you give to others, your own sense of prosperity grows and your outer conditions begin to shift in an alchemical reaction. Prosperity and love are yours to receive, experience, and enjoy. Believe it. Awesome. All right. So Beaver is our next one, card number 6. And Beaver was upright. And it says, lay a solid foundation. Beaver Spirit is here to tell you about a power living within you that is born of spirit, the source from which all life arises. This is the power to establish the sacred connection with the universal consciousness so you can deliberately co-create the world you desire. Know that it takes work, determination, and sustained effort to co-create and lay a solid foundation for your dreams. If with spirit as your partner, you bring the twigs and branches of your intentions and desires and spread them across the river of time, you'll be amazed at what you can do. You will find that you can even change the direction of the flow of life. You can ensure that your world will be prosperous and purposeful, filled with love and joy, and rich with magic and meaning. That which you desire will come to you and remain sustainably if you build on a sturdy foundation. Keep your intention and energy consistent and deliberate, using all your resources and the energy of this wonderful, productive time. Have faith for the spirit to co-create with you, for spirit. Have faith for with spirit to co-create with you. Your success is assured. Spirit is your partner, helping you along as you change the course of your life in the way your heart's desires. This is like Cancer Moon and Capricorn Jupiter Pluto. I just love how that shows up. Let's read our messenger here really quickly. 32 was Hawk, and he was also upright. How did I pass that? Okay. Hawk. Doesn't he look majestic? Flying high above the landscape, the hawk sees both the big picture and the small details, observes the rain and the pond, as well as the cloud, and doesn't miss a thing. When hawk spirit arrives, you are called to pay close attention to messages from spirit that can appear anywhere in any form. Listen to your intuition and keep your eyes open for synchronicities, the meaningful coincidences. Hawk spirit asks you not to dismiss the signs that spirit is sending to guide you. Lately, have you been hearing the same word or song or coming across the same symbol here, there, and in the strangest places? Perhaps you hear a song on the radio with just the right lyric pertaining to your query, or you begin to notice uncanny billboards, license plates, or other places where repetitive numbers or words show up for you to notice. Pay attention to the animals that appear for you and connect with their symbolism. Spirit wants to communicate and reaches out again and again. When hawk spirit appears, it is a sign to listen. I couldn't have picked 3 better cards myself. Thank you, Spirit. I love it. All right, guys. Well, let's see here. I just want to check in, make sure, have a beautiful hawk that visits. J-Lo says we'll share his photo on the Facebook page. Please do. And if the Facebook page won't allow you to do it, send it to me and I will post it on your behalf. And they are amazing cards, aren't they? And J-Lo says, I'm always hearing small songs and my kids look at me like I'm crazy. You know what? I break out into song all the time. So I'm with you, sister. I do that. My kids will tell you that they can say something and next thing they know, I'm singing a song that has something to do with that. It's just one of those weird things. So again, thank you all for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And just below, you can subscribe. For those of you who are new, joining me for the first time from Oneness Talk Radio, thank you so much. I appreciate you listening in. And for you, all of my normal daily listeners, thank you so much for being here with me today. See you all later. Nope, I won't. Wednesday, I will see you all later in the day as I will be on Angel Heart Radio with Annette McCoy. We are going to get back to basics on Wednesday. We're going to go back to the beginning of human design and remind everybody about type, strategy, profiles, and inner authority, although we may not get through all of that in one show. All right, guys, take care. Mwah. Have a great day.